I don't know if I would use the 18th pick on Lindler. I think maybe 20th instead. I'd try to grab another forward with the 18th pick. So if Amirov or Gunler are there, those are my picks at 18.
I don't think the Devils will end up using all three of their first round picks. I think that, because I think if my memory is correct, I believe Fitzgerald did say after the draft lottery that there was a good chance that he was probably going to move one of those two extra picks that he was going to get. And I don't know what that meant. Obviously you could take a guess and you could just make your own assumptions. But I think probably the Devils won't use all three picks because I think that they'll probably get an opportunity. If anything, they'll probably get an opportunity to move up, back into the top 15 or, the top 10, maybe even if they get an opportunity. But I don't think that they'll end up using all three first round picks.
Could he have meant with that pick too that he 20 per se? That he was like, yeah, we won't keep all three, so I'm going to trade 20. Well, I'm going to trade down. I'm going to collect even more assets.
I mean, at the time,
no problem with that either.
At the time, they weren't sure. At the time, they weren't sure if when he said that they hadn't even started playing games yet, so it wasn't like a certainty that they were going to have all three picks for this year. There was the chance that they could have slid to 2021.
Right.
So, I think his comment was just a general saying if the right opportunity presents itself, then yeah, we'll consider it. But he was never yeah, we're giving up one of them for sure. So we've seen in past years where the Devils have multiple draft picks, not necessarily in the first round, and more than the 7, I should say, that you usually have, and they end up using all of them. So I don't think it's a guarantee that they use all 3 of the first, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. At the same time, my I guess, sort of boldish take is that they're going to make a trade in September before the draft even comes up because just the whole timeline's screwed up right now. So, and there's such a short window where you can make trades and do free agency this year that I think they're going to make a move at some point next month. So it could involve one of their first round picks. So
yeah, I think that's why the rumor mill has been so big with the Devils is that I think a lot of people expect the Devils to immediately when the opportunity presents itself, that they're going to be very aggressive. I know somebody, I think, Alex, I think you retweeted it or quoted it saying somebody from TSN is putting out who is probably going to be available via trade.
Yeah, they do the trade bait thing all the time. And
right.
I think it's coming out later this week.
Obviously that legit, it's just what they think. But I do think within a week or so, or maybe even sooner, that the Devils might really start calling some teams and really kind of figuring it out and trying to get a head start on the market before things get, really crazy.
Well, we already know they talked to the Maple Leafs about Kasperi Kapanen. That was in Pierre LeBrun's article. They were one of the 6 teams that the Maple Leafs had talks with. So we already know they're doing some work around the league. So
it's not like they're sitting back eating Cape Cod potatoes all day.
So that's why I think a September trade, I'd say that's a 99% chance that they make a trade in September. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big one, but I'm pretty sure they make something in the next month. Before the draft, before free agency.
The other thing is that we have to remember, this draft is so unique because we also don't have a combine. So these guys can't These guys can't really see them physically. I mean, they could certainly have those one-on-one meetings on Zoom and things like that. But there might not be enough guys, with the, when you have that many first round picks, there might just not be enough guys that the Devils organization feel like, you know what, let's go take him. And again, if there's an offer on the table, if Winnipeg calls New Jersey and says, hey, we're interested in moving, Ehlers or Line, and all it'll cost you is one of those 3 first round picks, maybe a 3rd round pick, and I don't know, like I mentioned, someone like Damien Severson. And Fitzgerald might sit there and be like, I think I'm very interested in that type of move. Again, it just, I think the Devils will be aggressive. I just don't think we'll know very much about it. I just don't think it'll be reported that much. We didn't know the Devils were talking to the Penguins about Kasperi Kapanen until after the deal was already made. We didn't know that Fitzgerald had called Toronto and said, hey, we're interested in Kasperi Kapanen. I think it depends, but I think if there's a trade to be made this month coming up, September, would be probably the time to do it.
Yeah, I agree there.
Especially in the first couple of weeks of September.
Yeah, and also you have to remember the other thing is this. Not every team is focused on the offseason, so you have already had a lot of time to plan this out.
Yeah.
And you may as well take advantage of teams. You may as well get a head start on other teams before they start, focusing on the next season.
Yeah, that's why I think the Leafs maybe kind of like set the table here, not in terms of market value for what trades are going to be, but just like, hey, listen, we're not waiting around here.
Right.
And I'm sure other teams,
time to get it done.
Yeah, I am sure other teams are thinking the same thing. Like, hey, listen, this is not a normal off season. We're not going to have as much time to make trades. Especially, I think the tentative target for a new season is December 1st to start it. So, like, there's not much of an off season with the draft and free agency being like that first and second week in October, and then you have camps opening up in November. There's just not that much time to pull off these moves. So that's why I think September could be a pretty crazy month, especially since we're going to be in the conference finals here pretty soon. You're going to have a bunch of teams eliminated. I think that's going to start getting the trade winds blowing in the direction where we could see some pretty big moves made, I think, in the next few weeks, especially as we get towards the end of September.
Yeah,
especially the agents are going to be talking to their clients, and they're going to be saying, well, you told me this and that about your coach and GM, and you're not happy there, or you just want to change the scenery, or it's family purposes and you want to be closer to home. So I think the closer to home factor, because of COVID-19, might bring some players closer to where their place of origins are from. So
right,
yeah, I can see that. I think. So you guys think the Devils will make trades here starting in September? You don't think they'll wait until the draft as we get closer to the draft?
I think it all just depends on what exactly, if anything is interesting. Because again, look, the thing about insiders is that they usually get, a tip or a rumor or some report well after it was already beginning. So for all we know, Tom Fitzgerald spoke to the Winnipeg Jets today, and we don't even know about it. We honestly would not know. I think if the Devils want to make sort of any sort of improvements, because of the fact that we just don't know when the next season is really going to begin. We have an idea as to when this season's going to end and when the draft is. I think that I think there will be an opportunity this month, especially when we get close, in the last 2 weeks of September. I think that there will be an offer in place somewhere. I think, Kyle Dubas, the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, said, I don't think we're done making moves. So he's already set this offseason in motion like, hey, for the rest of us, the offseason has officially begun. And it's like, okay. And the Devils, Tom Fitzgerald, he has to make that decision. It's up to him to call these guys and make a deal if he wants to make a deal. I don't know. All it just depends on on who's really available, because we don't even really know if Laine or Ehlers is available. We really don't know that per se. We also don't even really know if Johnny Gaudreau is the one available. It might be Sean Monahan that could be the one out the door in Calgary. So it all just depends on, what these GMs say to each other, what's discussed, and kind of going from there. But I agree with Alex. I think that it's going to be September if any big move is going to happen in this month.
Yeah, I don't even think it necessarily has to be like a big move for like Laine
or any move per se.
Or there could be re-signings that could.
Yeah, it could be we re-sign Jesper Bratt, which I really hope they do because they need to.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about trades here specifically. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be for Patrick Laine or Ehlers. I think it could be something for like Vince Dunn, even, or like if the Canucks get eliminated, I could see a situation where they go like, "Hey, listen, we'll take Louis Eriksson's contract on, but you have to give us Olli Juolevi and they pick as well." So
right,
I could see something like that happening in September too. There'll definitely be some kind of trade in September. I think that the fact that the Devils were talking to Kapanen about Kapanen to the Leafs just like a week or two ago, whenever that trade went down, shows that they're trying to pull something off if sooner than later. And I'd be really surprised if they just didn't do anything next month.
And they also are looking at the other thing is this. You have to remember they're looking at young guys. Kasperi Kapanen is what?
19?
24 years old.
Yeah.
What is Patrick Laine? Patrick Laine is 22. He's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah.
So if Fitzgerald is going to make a move, it's going to be for people that fit in the same time frame that the guys we already have on this team, 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age. These are if there is an opportunity to get a young, talented player in that age range that by the time the Devils get competitive again, they're part of that core. I think Fitzgerald's really going to do that. And if it is serious that he was really trying to get Kapanen, which it looks like at this point, it's pretty much. I mean, what didn't Elliot Friedman say specifically that the Devils had called? I think they called the Maple Leafs several times the last couple of days about Kapanen.
I don't know if they I think it was the only thing I remember reading about Kapanen was that it was in Pierre LeBrun's piece, and he just said that New Jersey was one of 6 teams that had talks. So I don't know how serious the talks were or anything like that. I'm sure.
But to me, this
Fitzgerald heard first round pick for Kapanen, he's like, okay, yeah, we'll look somewhere else. So
to me, that's like a barometer of like the value of a certain player, like who plays third line minutes, shouldn't be worth 15th.
Yeah, and that was the gross overpayment.
Right, and see, that was the point that I was making before, that the Devils are not going to try to make a move if it means breaking the bank. So clearly, it seemed like them getting Kapanen would have required them to break the bank, and Fitzgerald did not want to do that. So again, with any player that they want to try to acquire via trade, if they can make a deal where it doesn't mean that they broke the bank and they gave up a lot of their future, then that's what it is. I think I just heard the Line A train coming in.
Yeah, it's coming all the way from Winnipeg.
Oh my god!
It does.
Are you Are you at the train
exactly
station?
like Winnipeg's goal horn to me.
It does.
So this is kind of weird.
It kind of sounds like someone just scored a goal.
Yeah, but look. First of all, the other thing about Line A, just real quick, that would be funny is that I think Line A would have to change his number. Clearly, could wear 29.
He would have to wear 31 or something like that.
Oh, that would just look weird on him. No, I would be like
another 20.
Like 20, 25 maybe?
That'd probably work.
We're at 25. But again, it all just depends on, again, it's just we'll see what they do. I think the Devils will try to get a young player or two if they can. But again, if it means that they have to give up a lot for them, they're not going to do it. I just know that for a fact.
It's all about the asset management. And, of course, like you're just talking about how it's the timeline of certain players' ages. And Nico's locked in long-term. You have Brett, who should be locked up long-term. No more short-term deals with those kinds of guys.
Right.
Miles Wood should be dealt. And I was hearing that rumor about him for Jesse Puljujärvi.
Yeah, I had heard that also.
No, that was fun. That was a fun rumor that came out of absolutely nowhere.
That I actually like, believe it or not.
Who wouldn't?
Jake,
but considering the source, it clearly seemed like very non-believable.
Yeah, I agree, but I guess obviously none of us know, right? But like, I'd be absolutely. Do we all hope that that'd be the return you get from Miles Wood? Yeah, obviously, but like
that would be beautiful.
Let's face it, like Miles Wood is bringing back maybe a bag of pucks, maybe a set of water bottles.
Only that much, like that.
Nah,
bringing Troy Crowder.
I actually think
you might be able to get some stick wax or a roll of tape too. I don't know.
I actually think there are teams that, for better or worse, still value that type of player much more than they should. So I think I know most people would expect Miles Wood to not bring back anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if that return wasn't as bad as people think it is. Like, first of all, he's only like 24 years old and he's on a really ridiculously good contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought back, not necessarily. He's not going to bring you back like, a top line winger or anything like that, but I think he could bring you back something of worth.
Like a third round pick, maybe?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get maybe like a third round pick for him and like a B level prospect. it's I wouldn't rule it out.
And who would you consider trading to get in a return for Miles Wood? Would you get a second, a third, and yes,